Hello YouTube and happy 4th of July weekend. I hope you guys are having a happy and safe holiday. Welcome back to our weekly top 5 countdown, coming out a little bit later than what I thought it'd be this week. Today we're going to keep on the NFL topic and talk about our predictions of the top 5 passers for the 2021 NFL season. Now, unlike with the running backs and wide receivers videos I did, we're doing something a little bit different with the quarterbacks because rewatching and hearing people's opinions on the wide receiver video I did, I kind of left out a couple of important names. I did that because of certain reasons, not sure of teams' personnel and all that going into the season. So that's why I chose who I chose. So let me start by saying this video will not include Aaron Rodgers or Deshaun Watson because of their circumstances. We don't know if Rodgers will end up playing in Green Bay or if he'll even play this year. Rumor is he might try to be going to Denver, but no one's really for sure yet. And with Deshaun Watson, it's kind of hard to say what's going to happen with him because of, well, you know, I don't have to go into it. But the players I have selected for this are based on last season's stats and this season's strength of schedule. So those are kind of the parameters I'm picking these players out of. Yes, there's a lot of talent in the NFL, but I'm not basing this only on a player's athleticism. I'm basing it on their past history of statistics and who they're going to be playing against this season. So keep that in mind when I'm running through these players. Also, something I didn't do in the last 2 videos, I didn't have any runner-ups. People that might have a chance to be the top 5, but I don't think are going to cut it. I was going to have 2, but then I forgot I had 8 players to choose from instead of 7. So I have 3 runner-ups. And let me get through these really quick. Number 1, Joe Burrow. I think he's going to have a way better season, but he needs to be protected. Number 1 and only thing I'm concerned with Joey B is be protected, don't get hurt, play a full season. Last year he was on pace for about a 4,300 yard season, which would have put him right under Justin Herbert for number 7. I definitely think he has potential to put up a good number of yards, especially being reunited with his teammate Jamar Chase from LSU. So I think that's going to benefit him. But his whole thing is protection. He needs to stay healthy. Next is Matthew Stafford. I really have high hopes for the Rams this season just because of Stafford coming to LA and being able to have the receivers he has with the offense that the Rams do have. So I definitely think with Robert Woods and Cooper Kupp and that offense, I think he has a chance to put up a good amount of yards this season. But he's been kind of inconsistent with yards in his career. He could be either really good or kind of okay. So, but I think he'll have probably a good first year in LA. I really do have high hopes for that team. This guy should be top 5, but it was a really hard decision to pick between a couple of these guys. I put Josh Allen probably around 6, just out of top 5 next season. I think he'll have a fine year. Gaining Stephon Diggs really helped him put up numbers last season. I think Gabriel Davis is going to make a pretty big impact this season, and they also got Emmanuel Sanders too, so that'll help Josh Allen have another target. Now, here's where it starts. At number 5, which might be a kind of a shocker because I didn't think about this guy until last second. At number 5, I'm going to put Big Ben Roethlisberger. Now, I know it's kind of controversial, but hear me out. Their schedule isn't too crazy as far as teams with great pass defense. They have a few rough teams in there that they'll have to compete against. For Ben, it's now or never, I think, for another chance at a Super Bowl. Ben's been in the league since 2004, so he's coming up on his almost 20 years in the league, and I don't really know how much more football he has left. So if he wants to make a run at a Super Bowl, I think it's got to be this year or next year where he leads that team through the playoffs to the championship and follows through with it. In doing that, he's going to need to put the ball through the air. They picked up Najee Harris in the draft, which I think is going to help their run game, which seemed to be kind of non-existent last season. I think that's going to help balance that heavy pass offense that they had last season out. And also, Najee Harris can catch the football, so he can be a receiving back. I know Schuster isn't like a Antonio Brown, but he is still a pretty good receiver. And Claypool had a huge rookie season, if you ask me. So I think he has the weapons to be able to put up some good numbers. Number 4, kind of talked about this guy in our last video, Matt Ryan. Now, I kind of want to put him higher, but because of strength of schedule and because of just some of the other names we're going to get to, just don't think he's going to cut it to number 1. I will say, though, out of all these players that we're naming today, he's the most consistent passer in the league, I would say. I mean, if you look at his numbers here, I mean, he's almost at like 4,500 or more yards each season. He led the league in passing attempts last season at 626. And, you know, the year before that, 616, 608. Like at 2013, he put up 651 attempts. 2014, 628. He puts the ball up a lot, which is going to give him a chance to put stats on the board. He's been like a top 5, top 10 quarterback in yards for almost every year he's played in the NFL. So I think the big question with him is the offense going to struggle now that Julio's gone? Kyle Pitts seems like he's going to be a phenomenal athlete. I think that they probably won't use him as tight end. I think they'll bump him to wide receiver. I mean, that's what I would do. I'd bump him to wide receiver, make him the second, have Ridley be your first, and third, you have Gage. Hayden Hurst, even though he's not like a Mark Andrews when he was at Baltimore, he's still a solid tight end and reliable. I think he can handle the tight end position just fine. He's got the talent around him to make it happen, and he's got the capability to put the numbers up. So I don't think there's no way I could have excluded Matt Ryan from this list. Now, back to the Cowboys. I freaking hate the Cowboys, but for some reason, my gut is telling me their offense is going to be one of the best ones in the NFC. I hate saying it, but I can't get over when you're looking at the numbers. Excluding last season, I mean, 2019, he had almost 5,000 yards. Now, if we look at the game logs from last season before he got hurt in week 5, I mean, look at this. Against Atlanta, 450. Against Seattle, 472. In Seattle, that's impressive. Against Cleveland, 502. And then he gets hurt with, 166 yards, and I think in the first half or whenever that injury occurred. If you work out the numbers, through those first 5 games, he was averaging 372 yards. Even if he was averaging 350, if he were to average the whole year at 350 yards, which is damn hard to do, he would have totaled 5,600 yards, which is a ridiculous amount of yardage. I don't know what the record is for most passing yards in a season, but that's ridiculous. So he has a team that he can do that with Amari Cooper, Michael Gallup, CeeDee Lamb, was showing that he's probably going to be the number 2 and could probably compete for the number 1 spot on that team. Like, the talent around him is probably one of the best as far as receiver cores right now. So I think that gives him all the opportunity in the world to go out there and put on a performance like he had in 2019 and like he could have had in 2020 if he didn't suffer that gruesome ankle injury. My leg! So I had to put Dak in the top 5 as much as I don't want to do it. Number 2, we're going Patrick Mahomes. Kind of hard not to include him in the top 5. I was going to put him kind of lower, but honestly, he's surrounded by, we just talked about how Dallas has elite receiving core, and Kansas City has not only a good receiving core, but the fastest probably receiving core in the league. You see his numbers like over the last 3 seasons. 2018 about 5,100, 2019 about 4,000, and then last year at 4,700. I mean, he finished second last year in total passing yards. So he's definitely surrounded by the guys to be able to redo those same numbers. I think after losing the Super Bowl and like Tampa being able to shut down their pass, I feel like that team's going to be motivated more than ever to reestablish their dominance. But it's kind of hard to argue with Mahomes' stats over the last few seasons as far as total yards and just the athlete and playmaker that he is. I mean, he literally can make any kind of throw. Like, doesn't matter if he's not looking at a receiver or like literally in the air sideways, it doesn't matter. He is a guy that's going to make a big play. There's no reason why he shouldn't finish outside the top 3. So I got him at second. At number 1, like ever since this guy went away from New England, I haven't hated him as much, but his success is undeniable, and that's Tom Brady, obviously. I mean, the guy is totally dominant. He finished 3rd last season with 4,600. And outside of like a few seasons, like in 2011 when he put up 5,200, 2012 when he put 48, 2017 when he led the league with 4,500. Like, he's been kind of up and down. He hasn't been the most consistent quarterback, but he's the smartest quarterback. Like, he doesn't need to get 60 yards every play. I think the biggest thing that I see in Tom Brady is the fact that their team didn't fire on like all cylinders until probably like 4 or 5 weeks out from the playoffs. Like, they peaked at the perfect time. I can only imagine if they were hitting on that, like on those cylinders at the beginning of the year and kept that for a whole 16 games. He probably would have led the league last season in passing if that was the case. Really quick, we're going to check Tom Brady's like games from last year. Even when they weren't clicking, I mean, he still had like games where he had 369 yards, 5 touchdowns, 369 yards, 4 touchdowns, like 279 with 2, 341. And then when you get to the back half of the year, like 345, 3 touchdowns, 390, 2 touchdowns, 348, 4 touchdowns, 399, 4 touchdowns. Like, just ridiculous numbers that a 42-year-old quarterback out there is making. So if, they take what they ended on into next season from the start, Tom could easily throw for, 5,000 yards with that team he has right now. And plus, I forgot to mention this earlier, we get an extra game this season. So it'll be the first time in NFL history, since we're going to a 17-game season now, that the stats are going to be totally different. They're going to be higher than what we've seen in the past. So Tom has a really good chance setting the new season record with a new amount of games. So he could very well do it. That's my top 5. I know it's probably controversial. There's a few names in there that maybe you guys would put in your top 5 list. Let me know down in the comments what you guys think of this list and who you would have at your top 5. So if you enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a like. And also, if you like to see these kind of videos, be sure to subscribe to the channel because we're going to have more coming at you. And until the next video, guys, take care, and we will see you soon.